Here's Pic Sauvage. The goal is to climb the levels all the way to the summit. Nature can be brutal around here, but luckily there's a few ways to facilitate your ascent. One of them is to rescue lost climbers and assemble a rope party. Today, I'll show you how I created it. Here's the mental image I had from the start. When an object hits a member of the party, he falls and dangles for a couple seconds before retrieving its strength. If the member gets hit a second time, its next follower falls with him, and so on until the whole party collapses. After coming up with the idea, I was instantly met with 5 design questions to solve in order to make the system feel intuitive. First, how does the player hook himself to another climber? Do we need to press a special hook button at the right time? You know what? Let's not make it more complicated than it should be. Let's just collide. On to the next. How does the group progress on the wall? What do we, the player, control? Is it all of them at once? That feels too rigid. It should just be one of them and the rest follows. Now that's better. How can we defend ourselves from the falling objects? My initial plan was to have a combat system where you could defend yourself with a little pickaxe against projectiles and even animals. But since my general goal was to keep things simple, I eventually took it out entirely. So to answer the question, I decided that our only solution was to dash. But wait, what happens if an object hits another climber than the one we control? Now that's tricky. I could let the player transfer the control from one climber to the next by pressing a button and then dash just in time. As soon as this proposition crossed my mind, I could see how it wouldn't work. The mountain with its natural elements is essentially a bullet hell, meaning objects could easily hit 2 or 3 climbers at once. Trying to avoid all of them by transferring would instantly lead to frustration. What about making your followers invincible? That doesn't seem too bad. It feels pretty good actually. Okay, we lose a little bit of immersion with this solution, but they're not totally ignorant of the elements, they can still get stuck on static objects. But if one gets stuck and is out of screen, that leads to frustration too. How do we fix that? Let's pull back the camera a little bit every time we add a buddy to the party. That camera trick brings a new, unplanned reward to choosing the party over solitude in the ascent. We have more visibility to avoid incoming objects. Alright. Now those questions are out of the way, we can open up Unity and get our hands dirty with the very first element we need in a rope party, the rope. After some research, I quickly realized it was definitely not an entry-level system to develop for beginners like me. Not only was it hard to code, I also couldn't find anyone online who was in the exact same situation than I was. You see, most platformers rely on gravity to get their characters going. But in my case, in order to have my little characters move up and down the wall, I had to cancel their gravity most of the time and activate it only when they're hit by an object to simulate the fall. That on and off action makes a regular rope system go nuts. Anyway, after a lot of trials and errors, I finally stumbled upon a very talented developer whose game was kind of similar to what I was trying to achieve, and correctly introduced me to Unity's hinge joints. If you don't know him, I strongly encourage you to go check out his amazing work. I'll leave a link in the description. What I ended up doing to make my rope work in every situation is that I essentially Frankensteined 3 systems together. A series of hinge joints to simulate the wave shape, 2 distant joints to make sure my characters can't exceed the rope's length, and then to get rid of this chain look, I set up a line renderer through all my hinge joints and turned the sprites off. There you go, we made it through. Probably a little overkill, but at least it works. We can now finally get to what this devlog is about. Okay, time to code. How do I actually connect one climber to the other? It took me a while, but I eventually used the following method. Whenever character A collides with character B, B's rope activates, lights up the line renderer, and my script retrieves B's last chain link to hook it to character A's anchor. It then does the same with its distant joint. To make sure you could connect to any climber in any order, I left this place in the code dynamic so that it fills up with the colliding climber's name when the connection occurs. Now how do I make my climbers follow one another? I decided on a distance between the leader and the follower, under which the follower doesn't move and over which it moves at the exact set distance. Next, to bring to life this mental image I had from the start, I placed trigger colliders under each climber so that they could only fall at the right moment, when their predecessor on the party had reached enough distance below them. As you can imagine, Each of these problems led to many smaller questions, but I'm sticking to general matters in order to keep this video digestible. I'll be happy to dive deeper on any of these subjects in the comment section if anyone's interested. And that's all for today. You can play Pic Sauvage in the link in the description. It's still a work in progress, so I'm happy to receive any feedback whatsoever. I'll try to implement as many of them as I can and show the result in a later devlog. If you want to see more of this, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Next devlog, the art style. What I took inspiration from, how I drew the little guys and the mountain, and how they made their way from physical paper to game engine. Can't wait to show you all. See you guys.